we're back with another current movie review.
Oh, I guess that's one way to open it.
Yeah.
Yes. Hello. 2 days later, or I guess the next day for you guys.
Yeah.
We just got back from the theaters from seeing Smallfoot by... Who made this movie? Because it looks like...
This has been a point of contention, because every single time we bring it up, I'm like, I don't know, Sony or something. It looks like a Sony animated film.
It looks like a Sony animated film, but everyone's like, no, it's Warner Bros.
And then I'm like, oh, right, Warner Brothers. But during the credits of the film, and yes, it did have a title card, produced by Warner Brothers.
And
like,
Warner Animated Studios.
Yeah, it's Warner Brothers. But then, in the credits, it's like... Sony Animation Team, and then it lists like their entire animation department, and I'm like, okay, so who really made this film?
So it's like they have the modelers and the animators. It's like everyone, like the Sony worked on this.
Yeah.
It's both.
So the animation is provided by Sony Pictures Imageworks, but the film is produced by Warner Brothers Pictures, and also another production company is Zaftig Films.
Okay, I wonder if they're just like a smaller studio that's owned by one of the others.
Yeah,
and they just like help do rendering and stuff. Who knows? I mean, they might have done some of the work. I don't know.
But this kind of, sometimes you see like the makings of like the production of a film, and you're just kind of like, oh, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I feel. I'm like, this movie... Okay, to start off, I think this movie was pretty okay. It was better than I thought it was going to be.
But I mean, our hopes weren't super high to begin with. I thought it'd be fairly average, and it was slightly above average.
I was afraid it was going to be bad. Like, the trailers did not fill me with a whole lot of hope.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot better than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I thought it was fairly enjoyable. I mean, there's a couple of confusing, like, choices that were made in this movie.
See, that's the thing, is I feel like this film's kind of confused about itself. And seeing how many hands are in the kettle here... It just kind of makes sense.
Okay.
To me.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a good point of why this movie feels the way that it does.
Yeah.
So we're going to be talking non-spoilers here at the beginning of the review. Mm-hmm. Just so you know, if you're curious if we're going to spoil the movie for you. Yeah. I know we're like 3 minutes in. We probably should have established that earlier. Whatever.
Yeah, no spoilers here. We'll get to spoilers later after we talk about trailers.
Mm-hmm. But first, our non-spoiler thoughts on the movie.
Yeah. There's parts of this movie I really dig. Like, I really, really liked.
Yeah, there were some parts that I wasn't expecting, and I'm like, oh, actually, this really works, and I'm totally down for, like, what's going on here.
Mm-hmm. I really liked the characters.
Yeah.
I really liked the songs.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This movie's a musical.
By the way, it's a musical.
I mean, like, in the sense of, like, a Disney musical where, like, the whole... it's not told only through song, but songs come up at crucial points to further the story. Because they do. They further the story.
They do, and I appreciate it. They don't just stop the movie in its tracks.
Like, they're actually plot important elements.
And a lot of them are pretty jamming. Like none of them... I don't think I'm going to be buying this movie's soundtrack, but I could definitely see myself putting the playlist on in the background while I'm working.
Yeah, just the kind of thing where like, oh, I feel like listening to various movie soundtracks today, and then you just listen to the Smallfoot when you're like, yeah, this is okay. I enjoy it.
There was only one that I wasn't super crazy about.
Which one was that?
The second song that Zendaya mostly sings.
Yeah, that one felt like...
That was like the most generic one.
It was super generic, and it just kind of like kept going, and then now they're in space for no reason. Like,
yeah.
It's like, that was about the point I was like, twiddle my thumbs, is it over soon?
Stuff like that, like that whole sequence is what makes me feel like this movie's kind of confused about what it is.
Yes.
But, like, I really liked the opening song.
It was pretty good.
I really liked the quote-unquote villain song.
Which isn't really a villain song so much, but that's the only way to classify it under, like, your generic idea of what a villain song would be.
Mm-hmm. There's a parody song thrown in there.
Oh, yeah.
That's not even that funny, but I still like the song.
Well, yeah, that's because it's based on an actual song with just different lyrics on top of it.
Yeah, but like usually if you do something like that, you're trying to go at it for the laughs, and it really wasn't like a ha-ha funny song.
No, it was just giving it was giving the exposition behind one of the characters' motivations.
And they just used the background of like, oh, well, they're at a karaoke bar, so he's gonna sing it to this song.
Uh-huh. Which happened to be playing at that exact moment.
Right.
And at one point in the middle of the song, this is kind of spoilers, but it happened so early on, I don't think it's not like super
This is the
spoilers.
first third of the movie.
Yeah,
so.
like this is like this second time we've seen this character in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the human.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh, come on, I've been making all these lyrics up as I go. You gotta admit, that's at least pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then he goes
that's
right
like
back.
the one joke in that song.
Yeah, the rest of it is just like him talking about why he's doing what he's doing in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, this movie I thought was going to go a lot of very specific and very generic routes with what they're doing here.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, what you get from the trailers is, oh, it's like we're a society of Yeti and abominable snowman people. And, oh my god, we found a human! It's a Smallfoot! Oh! And then the hijinks ensue, and, like, you thought, like, I don't know, there's gonna be big... Like, a lot of, like, oh, they're scared of each other all the time, and then, like, just stuff like that, and it... This is...
Are you gonna get to what you're trying to say?
It doesn't do any of the things you think it's gonna do. It goes very close many times, but then it just kind of curves away from it smoothly and cleanly.
I don't know. I thought this was a really predictable plot, but it was a well-told, predictable plot.
Yes.
Is that what you were trying to say?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to say. I couldn't find the right words for it. It's like
I kind of get what you're trying to say.
They didn't just brute force it.
You're trying to say that, like, that you thought it was going to go a generic path, then that's like, oh, well, this
Super
is a
stale.
clumsy way of saying it, but it actually told it with some, like, gusto, and, like, it had a little bit of meaning behind what it was trying to say.
Mm-hmm. No interactions between the Yetis and the humans made me just want to roll my eyes at how stupid it was.
No, that all played out really well.
Mm-hmm.
As far as, you know, I said that this film's kind of a mixed bag. The fact that it is such a generic plot really brings the film down, which makes me sad to say because, like I said earlier, I think they tell the story fairly well. But, like, this is just way too generic to really stand out.
Yeah, it feels like Baby's first differences exist movie.
Cultural differences are a thing.
Yeah, because I mean that's the basic idea behind the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that hard to extrapolate. That's what this movie's going to be about.
Yeah.
And it does. It's really close.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
It falls into a lot of pitfalls that these kinds of movies fall into all the time.
And I'm sure you can kind of guess at what some of those are. We'll go into it more in the spoiler section.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, yeah, we're going the safe route here. It's told well, but it's safe.
Right. As far as other things that kind of bring the film down, I'm not a huge fan of the character designs.
No, they're
serviceable.
They're serviceable. And I thought, like, Zendaya's character
Character design?
design was enjoyable enough.
Hers is probably my favorite.
I actually really like the Stonekeeper's design. Mm-hmm. But he's like the only one that wears clothes.
Yeah.
So he's the most unique looking character in this movie.
Yeah, and I liked all the different shapes that the Yetis came in. Like,
yes.
There was a lot of really cool, varied character design.
Obviously, you got, like, your generic, like, crowd shot Yetis and stuff. But even then, like, there's 4 different variations on the generic girl, and then, like, 5 on the guys.
There was quite a bit of differences. And, like, the family of Yetis that, like, ring the gong, they go through, like, a quick...
Oh, yeah.
Thing of, like all of his past, and, like, they have little pictures of each of the other Yetis, and, like, that was a good visual gag with some cool character designs. But in general, this is a very Sony film.
Yeah. Very woo movements and stuff.
Mm-hmm. And the animation was... Sometimes it was, like, really on point. There's some really good visual gags or, like, just good visual comedy in here. And then other times where it just didn't work.
Yeah, they're moving and doing things, but it's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, it's just too much, or, like, the physics doesn't seem right.
Mm-hmm.
Something. I just don't know how to feel about this movie.
Yeah, it's weird.
Because the parts of it I liked. I really liked.
Mm-hmm.
But the parts of it I didn't like weren't, like, so bad or anything that they ruin the film. They just, like, bring the whole experience down.
Bring the whole movie down into the generic, it's pretty alright film.
Mm-hmm. Which is too bad, because I think it's better than a generic film.
Yeah.
But it's also not.
So...
I don't even know whether or not to recommend this one.
I would cautiously recommend it in the sense of we're waffling all over the place, obviously, so maybe you should just go see the movie yourself and decide if you liked it or not.
Yeah.
Because I don't know I don't know, should we recommend it or not? It's like,
I liked the music quite a bit, so if movie musicals, especially animated movie musicals, are your jam...
Go for it, yeah.
Go for it. I could see this film getting kind of like a little bit of like be like a cult hit status. It kind of has that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could see some people really latching on to some of these characters. The world they build is interesting.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I kind of want to get into in the spoiler section.
Okay.
And I think we ought to kind of segue into that here real soon. So why don't we talk about trailers real quick?
Yeah, so we're going to talk about 2 new trailers that we saw, and then we're going to just transition into the spoiler section. So if you don't want spoilers, when we're done with trailers, that's when you want to deke out of here.
Yeah.
2 new trailers that we've seen. First was The Grinch.
A new trailer for The Grinch.
Yes.
We've seen a trailer for The Grinch before, but this was
like
one
super
we
generic.
hadn't seen before.
This one's actually giving us the plot of The Grinch, if you don't know what the plot of The Grinch is.
What could happen? I don't know.
Is he going to steal the
Christmas?
moon? Oh, wait, Christmas. Right, that's what he's doing.
They added a yak character, apparently.
Yeah, apparently Benedict Cumberbatch pretending to be the Grinch is
not enough.
Not enough to have just the dog. He has to also have a yak. I don't know.
I mean, they gotta do something to change it up, right?
I guess.
Otherwise, like, Chuck Jones is gonna rise from his grave and be like,
Smite.
I sue you for stealing all my ideas.
Smite all the Sony or is it Sony? No,
no,
Illumination. Smite
it's
all
our
the
favorite animation company.
Yay. Smite the Illumination execs that thought this was a good idea.
It's sad because this is like obviously such a nostalgia point from me, but like growing up with the Jim Carrey movie, I'm just like, man, it's weird seeing hearing Benedict Cumberbatch's voice out of The Grinch.
Well, he's... I mean, obviously we're going to have to wait.
I think he'll be fine.
Yeah. But it's Benedict Cumberbatch. Benedict Cumberbatch is one of those people that is very easy to identify.
I mean, so is Jim Carrey.
Yes, it's true. It's like the only time that Benedict Cumberbatch has not just stood out is when he was doing Smog, and that's because they had like 700, like they deeply edited his voice for that role.
Right.
So it's like, oh, I guess most anybody could have done that voice at that point.
I'm really not looking forward to this film, but that's not a surprise because I think the only good Grinch movie is the Chuck Jones one, so...
Yeah. You're a mean one, mister.
Yep.
It just looks like the first movie again, the first Despicable Me movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I thought when I saw the first trailer for The Grinch, or when I found out that they were doing The Grinch to begin with. It's just like, well,
they even have made...
the villain that turns good.
They've even made the Grinch seem softer. Like, he's much softer in this trailer.
And not just fuzzy, but like a not as mean guy.
Yeah, like, he already comes off as that, like,
petty.
Yeah.
Petty mean as compared to...
Petty, but with a heart of gold, you know? When the whole point is that he's supposed to be, like...
absolutely reproachable.
Reproachable?
Gross and evil. And
then he gets good. He's reformed.
Yes.
He's not secretly hiding a heart of gold.
Instead, this movie is just like actually boasting about it's okay to be cranky about Christmas anytime. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, but also that shouldn't be the tagline of your Christmas movie.
I don't know. I think they're trying to appeal to people like us, not understanding that like...
No, this isn't going to help us like Christmas anymore.
Yeah.
Or want to see your movie. We know who's making it, and we don't like you guys.
Oh, don't be that harsh.
Okay, I don't like the execs that are forcing you guys to make these bad movies.
There you go.
That's what I meant by you guys. You corporate shills.
Yeah. I'm sorry to the animation team that really like does want to put out a good product, but
you don't have the
you're
time,
constantly
budget,
being
or
forced to compromise.
Either way, let's talk about the second trailer that we saw. We talked too long about it.
Yeah, we saw a second trailer for Wreck-It Ralph 2, which is awesome because
the first one gave us nothing.
Yeah, like we keep seeing the same trailer over and over again where Vanellope like warps into the princess thing, and I'm like, I already have mixed feelings about this whole princess thing to begin with.
So let's see. Can we see what a taste of the plot?
I have no idea what this movie's gonna be about.
And finally, we have a plot trailer that tells us what the plot is probably going to be, at least to get them to go to the internet in the first place.
Yeah, I hope they didn't end up showing too much. That's always my main gripe with movie trailers, is like, I want to have an idea of like what the movie's gonna be about, but I also don't want you to give me the entire movie in the trailer.
But this new trailer, essentially what it's showing us is the Sugar Rush game breaks.
Yeah.
The arcade game breaks. So they need to...
So they flood into the hall.
Oh yeah, like everybody has to evacuate the game because it's getting taken away. Like specifically the steering wheel breaks.
Yeah.
So Ralph, always the genius, decides that they need to go to the internet to order a new steering wheel. And that's why they go to the internet. And then for some reason they get mixed into like a super gritty, realistic racing game where there's explosions and sharks that eat random dogs and stuff.
There's a lady there with long brown hair, and oh my gosh, she stole my heart. Like the moment she came on screen, I'm like, I love you.
So how does the Disney thing tie into that? Is the Disney thing just a throwaway bit? Who knows?
I don't know. I don't know.
But that seems to be the idea behind it, and we'll have to see the movie when it actually comes out.
I'm a lot more excited about it now.
Yes,
after seeing the plot trailer.
Actually seeing a plot trailer, yeah.
I really love Wreck-It Ralph, so I'm really hoping that this is another.
This has
good
revitalized our craving for this movie.
Yeah.
Because the other trailers actually kind of upset my stomach a little bit. Just kind of like, oh, this is like not what I wanted.
Well, I mean, it's so hard because it's Wreck-It Ralph, so you automatically have that expectation of like references.
Pop culture references everywhere.
Right,
and
which is
knowing
something
it goes to the internet.
Like as reviewers and stuff, we're like, oh, like this can go such a bad way, and then they're going to the internet, so there's gonna be like memes everywhere. They're gonna be dated already because it's an animated film, and those take a long time to make. So by the time you write in a joke that's current, it's already dated by the time it gets to theaters, and you're in a vicious cycle. But also, the first Wreck-It Ralph pulled this off so well. It's such a good film, and it's a good film because the pop culture references were all, like, in the trailers, but not really a big part of the movie.
Yeah.
But this one definitely seems, but yet again, these are trailers, it definitely seems like there's more pop culture references, but who knows? Maybe there's not. Maybe that's all just trailer fodder. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
It might just be this first movie again where, like, there's a bunch of trailer fodder and then, like, a couple more scenes with, like, a lot of video game characters and references, but most of it takes place in their own made-up universe. Who knows?
I'm looking forward to it, though.
Yeah, and that'll be out on Thanksgiving, so we will review that then. But we have The Grinch before that.
Why is The Grinch going out before Thanksgiving?
Because it's coming out at the beginning of November for some reason.
Okay.
Either way, that's it. That's the two trailers that were new that we're going to talk about. We also got like the Lego movie trailer that we've seen multiple times now. So we're not going to talk about that here. So now we're moving into spoilers. And if you... we did a really bad job of making you not want to hear more about the spoilers, I guess.
Whatever.
If you're worried, get out now.
Yeah, we're talking about spoilers. So, I want to get back to this whole the film doesn't really know what it is kind of thing.
Yes. I'm assuming that is based around the plot itself.
Yeah.
And the message of the movie.
Yeah. So, well, and just like the world building. This film sort of has the world building of a TV show.
Yeah.
And then it executes it like a movie. Like, there's a lot of times in this film where there's payoff to something that was never set up. Especially in the first third of this film. They and I can give a specific example of this.
Okay, because I'm not sure what you mean.
When Migo?
Miko?
Migo.
Migo or Miko?
Migo.
Okay.
That's the main Yeti's name, right?
Sure. I don't remember any of the main characters' names. Any of them. No character's name sticks in my head except for Stonekeeper, who is LeBron James for some reason.
Migo.
No. Sorry. No, the Afro guy was LeBron James as Gwanji.
It's probably just Wanji.
Wanji. Wait.
What?
Wait, who's Channing Migo?
What?
Wait.
Migo.
Oh.
Migo's the main guy.
For some reason, I saw the name Channing Tatum, and I'm like, that's a girl's name, right? No.
Channing Tatum's like the Magic Mike guy.
Oh!
The She's the Man guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm really bad with names often.
You just shouldn't even try. It's okay, hun. Anyway.
Common is Stonekeeper.
Okay, let me get to my point before I forget it, please.
Go.
So, there's a point very early in the movie where they're singing a song about how life is great in the Yeti village.
Mm-hmm.
And then Migo goes flying off and, like, starts the plot. And he's like, oh, I see a Smallfoot. And he talks about it as if the existence of Smallfeet has already been established to be something that's crazy and shouldn't be there.
Yeah, but that hadn't been brought up until he saw the human and like, it's a Smallfoot! And we're like, what's a Smallfoot? I mean, obviously...
Like, we know.
We know, but, like, there's no time in the movie that that's been established yet.
Right.
So that felt like they left something out earlier.
And there's several different points where the movie does something like that, where it just kind of takes a leap, where
and
it's like,
assumes you know things.
We're gonna talk about something as if we've already talked about it before.
Mm-hmm. Like, we'll assume that the audience just knows what our lore is, even though we
haven't set it up
or no.
And there's a lot of characters in here too, and it just, I will give them credit. The world that they built for this like little Yeti town is like very complex, and I feel like they put it together really well.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt lived in, and it felt real, and like I understood everything that was going on in the town. And, like, why they have it all there is all done really well. And then the movie's just kind of also, though, a not-so-serious comedy that wants to take itself seriously.
Yeah.
And this is more just getting into, like, the why this film doesn't really know what it is.
Yeah.
Is because it takes things very lightly. Or, it wants to take things lightly. It wants to be like a funny, haha, good time film.
But it's also
but
talking
it's also
about like...
pretty serious.
It's pretty serious. It's like, we've covered up the past, and we made our own rules because people kill us. So we hide ourselves away, but we also keep our people ignorant so that they don't question why we do things this way, so that we don't get discovered and people don't die. It's ignorance is bliss so that we don't die is a kind of a really terrifying prospect.
Right.
No one's allowed to know anything, so no one else can find us and hurt us.
Yeah, and the villain song is about, like, this whole reveal.
Mm-hmm.
And it does it really well. The problem is that, like, this is all just handled way too simply to really make this pack a punch or be believable.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every time someone's like, oh, well, you asked a question. You know what the Stones say about questions? You force them down and you don't ask questions. It's like, that's too simple of a take to then later have this big reveal of, like...
Humans exist, and some of them are bad, but maybe some of them are good, and we need to figure out how to be good and, like, interact with them.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's a complicated issue that you're bringing up here, movie, and you're going to solve it real simply, aren't you? Yep.
Yeah, you get to the third act, and everything is solved so easily. Even the stone teller guy just, like, turns on a dime.
He's not, like, he doesn't push at all. He's not like, oh no, we have to stay with our rules. It's for the safety. He doesn't get angry or anything other than, like, the song. And then after that, he's like, nope, I'll just help you.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right. Like I said, baby's first controversy. Because it wants to tackle this really serious subject, which I appreciate that it's doing, but it also solves it very simply.
Way too simply,
which means it's really only best for kids to, like, allow them to, like, start nibbling on this concept.
Yeah.
That, yeah, different people exist, and you or we might have all treated each other poorly in the past, and now we need to figure out how to make it better.
Yeah. Well, and the movie doesn't ever actually go into the how to make it better part. It conveniently ends.
Conveniently ends before we have to ask any serious questions as to how to reach out to people that are different than yourselves.
Yeah. And how are we going to actually make this work? And then I was talking about this with you in the theater while we were leaving, but because the movie is so simple, it's obviously going for this, we need to learn to live in harmony. However, you can also take this film just a tad bit out of context, and you've suddenly got a very, anti-establishment, all the conspiracy theories are actually correct kind of film.
Don't believe the lies the government feeds into your brain. Yeah. Chemtrails are real, man.
9/11 was an inside job.
Because the whole ignorance thing is, it's just a bunch of rules and stuff set in place so that people don't question things. Which, yeah, that is a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it also, they wrap it up in all of their science, societal, and governmental rules are all together and exist in one way. So it's not trying to diversify, the science rules are probably still correct, but no, the government rules are wrong or anything like that. It's all wrong, which just leads you down the dumb
conspiracy path.
Holes.
Right. It's like this movie wants to have a message about, we need to learn
to question things,
to communicate with people who are different than us.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, learn to ask questions about things that we just took for granted in the past. But it comes with a big old heaping of a theme of conspiracy theories might be correct.
Don't believe the lies.
Don't just assume,
which
crazy people are crazy.
Again, also just kind of brings down the idea of the movie as a whole.
Right.
It's like, there's good things, and then there's also just things in this movie.
It's like, you didn't think that one all the way through.
I liked all the characters.
Yeah.
I think
characters have really good progression.
Mm-hmm.
Almost every character has a character arc, and the only ones that aren't great are, Stone Tellers.
The Stonekeeper.
Stonekeeper.
He just kind of flips, or, bends and just kind of goes with it now.
Yeah, the son, brother character.
Yeah, what is his name? Thorpe? Jimmy Tatro as Thorpe.
Yeah.
He plays, the jerky jock son who doesn't really do anything. He just kind of exists.
This character could have been cut.
Yeah, I don't think he needed to be in the movie at all. He adds nothing. He doesn't really detract anything either, but whenever he shows up and has a scene where he's acting dumb,
kind of just takes
the movie just kind of stalls for a bit, and then he's off screen again, and you're like, all right, we can continue with the movie now.
Yeah, this probably would have been a tighter script, just cut him out.
Cut another character from the
Danny DeVito's character I actually really liked.
Yeah, he was written very well. He acted it excellently. He's the dad of the main character, and their interactions work.
Yeah, they were really good. That also has a really nice character arc.
Mm-hmm.
That was one plot I was kind of expecting to go one way.
Yeah.
And then it didn't, but it still kind of kept to the general idea of what I thought it would be.
It's we're getting into a cultural divide here where the young kids are trying to explore things and the adults are like, no, we just want to...
I guess we can talk spoilers here, so we don't have to try and hide what happens. But Danny DeVito's character has a moment where he suddenly realizes that this whole society that they've built is built on lies.
Mm-hmm.
And what I thought was going to happen was when Migo is up there trying to bring back the status quo.
Mm-hmm. Because he's just been scared into thinking that he has to keep the status quo or else everything's going... the humans are going to come and kill everybody.
Yeah. I thought that's when the dad was going to come forward and it was going to be this, thing where he's like, oh, but this thing just happened to me that totally breaks... that means that you're lying, and then, more panic was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't. The dad just kind of was quiet during that.
Had some introspection off screen.
Had some nice animation where, he's just, confused.
He's obviously going through and questioning how his life and his reality works,
mm-hmm.
and came to the conclusion that, no, I think my son was right.
the first time.
About there being Smallfoot and things are not right, and I'm going to support him as he helps figure this out.
Yeah.
And that was really nice.
Yeah, and that scene with them,
where he needs to ring the
gong.
Ring the gong to make the sun snail wake up and go across the sky. But he's like redirects the targeting over to like the Stonekeeper's house instead, and like you like aim true and stuff, and like, oh, that's really nice.
Yeah, and it calls back to like the first part of the movie. The first
part of the movie where the plot actually gets started.
Yeah, where the dad's like, what's the thing I always tell you? And he goes like, aim true? He's like, no, listen to the stone teller.
Yeah.
So that was, like, that whole part was really nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
I really like Zendaya's character. She doesn't so much go through a character arc, but she is, like...
She's the voice of reason again.
Yeah, she's the voice of reason in
like, I feel
film.
like I experienced this with Zendaya recently. Where was it? It's Spider-Man.
Spoderman.
Yeah.
Spoderman Homecoming?
Yeah, Spoderman Homecoming, where Zendaya is just kind of like there and awesome.
But she's just sassy in that one. I mean, she's still awesome, but...
She's the sassy liberal character. And like, she's kind of that here, but filled with more wonder.
Yeah, she's more like naive and...
Like, I want to know things! Yeah. It's so cool! And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with this kind of character.
I like you.
And then like a Candy Crush thing again.
Yeah. That was a dumb joke that was fine.
It's like, all right, this exists.
It didn't overstay its welcome.
Mm-hmm. It was there, and then it was like moved on to the next part of the plot, which is the fact that the human character can't breathe. Yeah. Because they're too high up.
Speaking of the human character, I liked him quite a bit too.
I thought I was going to hate him
from
his quote villain song, where it's Under Pressure, except it's Percy's Pressure.
Yeah.
Is the name of the song, because it's Under Pressure, except he's singing about how he's a popular like animal person, but his popularity's dropping and he has all these bills, so he's like gonna fake a Yeti sighting so that he can up his views and like get all the money and stuff back and the fame. And that's his plot that he explained to us while singing to Under Pressure.
Okay, I really this is a small touch, but I really appreciate how they didn't just make his conflict about wanting to be more popular.
Mm-hmm.
It came with the reality of like, I have bills to pay and I can't, and I'm freaking out. I'm gonna get taken off air and lose everything.
So this is the choice I'm making to keep my reality.
Right. He's like, he's not doing it for the popularity. He's doing it because like, I have bills to pay and
like my reality's crashing around me. I need to do this.
Right.
I'm under pressure.
Right.
Under pressure. And like,
shit down on me.
And like at the end of the movie, he gets everything that he wants.
Mm-hmm.
And he decides to destroy his own fame, even though that would still up his fame in reality. Of like, oh, he faked a Yeti thing. Oh, it's all a scandal. How dare he get all the views and negative.
Right.
All the negative comments and stuff.
Okay, that's another thing. I love the police take him away for internet fraud. I'm like, oh, how I wish.
I wish people could get taken away for internet fraud.
For lying on the internet.
There would be a lot of people out of there. Get off the internet.
If only. Oh, but see,
you made society worse. Get away.
There's another thing where the plot's just kind of messy because it's like 1 second you have Percy like sacrifice everything to help the Yetis,
and actually has consequences.
And then it's all undone because the Yetis come down to be with the humans anyway.
I agree with that.
And it's just like, okay, movie, you should have chose one or the other.
But no, it's like Percy sacrifices himself and goes to jail. And then the Yetis are like, no, we're actually going to show ourselves off. So
your sacrifice was for nothing.
Yeah, so is Percy off the hook now? I don't know. And
it's not like they set it up any different. Mm-hmm. Because you still had like the police there that were obviously aggressive towards the Yetis. But instead, Percy just, like, stood out in front of him and is like, oh, well, now it's fine, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Why couldn't you have done this earlier? You could have kept...
All the generic people need to stand with the people that are different against the police and allow us to commingle. And, like, I get the obvious symbolism here.
Right.
But, I mean... I don't know.
Yet again, this is way too simple.
It's a very simplified version of what goes on. And, like, it's a good step in the right direction.
You're trying movie.
But it's also very clearly for kids.
Right.
It does not dip into a lot of the... Like really dive into the context
issues.
of the issues that it's bringing up here.
Mm-hmm.
So...
I can't believe we've talked for 40 minutes about this movie.
I mean, that often happens. It's like either the really rancid movies or the middling movies that we're like, I don't know what to say about this. We need to discuss it to try to, like, get our feelings of what... Understand it better.
Yeah. It's one of those movies where it's like, by the time we get to the end of the year and we talk about all the films, I might feel completely different about this film. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I might have forgotten this film because... I mean, if no one ends up talking about it on the internet and it doesn't end up getting that
traction,
cult fan base that I think it could potentially have.
Yeah, it could definitely get it.
We could get to the end of the year and I'm like, I know I said some positive things about this movie, but I honestly don't remember any of it. Or I could still be like, you know what? Maybe it was better than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know.
Yeah. So, I guess that's our review.
If you want to feel conflicted feelings, go watch
Go watch it. I mean, again...
it was a good time.
It was a good time. It's not going to make you laugh super hard, but it...
There were some really good, funny jokes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, that was one thing. This film is a bit self-aware. Actually, quite a bit self-aware.
Yeah, but it's not, like, obnoxious about how self-aware it is.
No, it's smart self-aware. There's a point where, like, a whole bunch of the characters go down to help the main heroes, and you're like, oh no, they're gonna bring the annoying one along. And they don't. They don't leave him behind, but the annoying one is so much of a jerk that he stays behind of his own volition.
Uh-huh.
And you're like, this feels good.
And they're like, yeah, he's garbage. He's, like, they straight up say, he's a terrible person, essentially.
No, they're just like, he sucks.
And you're just like, Thank you for acknowledging that even though this other character is also an outcast of your society, you don't need to say that they're okay.
Right.
Because they are actually a garbage creature. I would say human being, but he's a Yeti. It's like, oh, God. It's like, yeah, we'll let him hang out.
And they only cut back to him like one or two other times, and it's just to make like a repeat joke that's not bad. Mm-hmm. And so you're just like, oh, yeah, this is good.
Okay,
this is nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm so glad we didn't bring him along.
And it's like, yeah, no, he's dead to us.
I think that's a good note to end this on.
Yeah, that's a good way to end this review. So join us back here, I think it's November.
For the Grinch?
For the Grinch. I don't know if there's
anything else. We don't have anything in October. No. Unless something sneaks up on us.
Which it happens.
Yeah.
So, goodbye.
See you later.